In the galaxy of college football, the Big Ten and the SEC reign among the quasars. Iowa's meteoric rise last season crashed with equal force during the Orange Bowl. For this season's foray into the Sunshine State, atonement rests on the shoulders of the diminutive and dynamic Fred Russell. Russell devastating and lacerating defenses with religious zeal. Meanwhile, the Gator Nation faced mutiny and insurrection after a 3-3 start. But the season bordering on disaster disappeared. Chris Leak, a precocious freshman, revived a reeling offense with poise and precision. Today, it's Iowa, the Gator Baiters, versus Florida, harassing the Hawkeyes. Next. Under sunny skies in Tampa, Florida, welcome everyone to the 18th edition of the Outback Bowl here at Raymond James Stadium. Out of the Big Ten, it's the Iowa Hawkeyes, ranked 12 in the country against the 17th ranked Florida Gators out of the SEC at 8-4. Florida, a team ripe with pride and history, but still plenty to prove today. And the Hawkeyes out of the Big Ten, after a successful season last year, still looking to punctuate things here this afternoon. This kick is just seconds away. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Jones, along with Bob Davie, Holly Rowe down in the field. From all of us at ESPN to all of you at home, a happy new year, all the best in 2004. Now, Bob, Iowa comes in 9-3. They've been here since the 24th of December, but Florida, on the other hand, they came in the day after Christmas. They come in 8-4, and both teams have been showered with a lot of presents, a lot of gifts, trips to the beach, the amusement park, roller coasters. A lot to prove, though, today.
Well, Mark, both teams have enjoyed this trip, but make no mistake, there's one thing on their mind right now. That's winning a football game. The winner of today's game ends this season on a positive. The loser has to deal with the ramifications until next September when they play again. For Florida, this is their 11th straight January bowl game, and for them to get here today, it took a remarkable turnaround. After a disappointing 3-3 start, they were able to regroup, put together a 5-game winning streak before losing to Florida State. A win today is critical for Ron Zook and Florida to have a successful season and get the credit they deserve for bouncing back. Iowa, a year ago, they had a dream season, going 11-1, winning the Big Ten, and having the chance to play in the Orange Bowl. This year, even with the loss of some great players to the NFL and injuries, they are 9-3 and once again playing in January. After last year's disappointing loss to USC in the Orange Bowl, Kirk Ferentz changed his bowl preparation philosophy. This year, he kept the players together through Christmas and has had more physical and focused practices. Mark, we will find out in a minute if that plan has been successful.
Yeah, he has been canvassing his coaching fraternity for solutions and answers. Fred Russell, one of the stars of the game today. He'll figure prominently in the equation. Right now, let's go downstairs to Holly Rowe. Holly?
Guys, there is a shakeup into Florida's defensive starting lineups because of disciplinary reasons. The SEC Player of the Year, Kewan Ratliff, will not start today. He is being sat out because of team violations. He will play in this game. We're not sure when he will come in. Also, Gus Scott, a senior safety, also benched by Ron Zook for the start. In their place, there are two juniors. Corey Bailey comes in at strong safety, and Ronaldo Hill comes in for Kewan Ratliff. Both of those players practiced the last 2 days as if they were starters. We'll see how they hold up against Iowa's pass.
All right, Holly, yeah, it's been one of the trends here in Capital One Bowl Week and the bowl season. Some disciplinary issues across the board for some of the teams involved. Florida winning the toss, deciding to defer to the second half. Iowa will receive the opening kickoff. Now back deep to receive the kick, it's going to be Fred Russell and Jermel Lewis. There's a look at number 2. Fred Russell telling me before the game he remembers that C.J. Jones last year against USC ran back the opening kick in the Orange Bowl to put Iowa up 7-0. He's going to try and duplicate that feat here today. And we are underway in the Outback Bowl. Russell at the 16. And Russell brought down at the 27-9-yard return. Corey Bailey making the stop on the play. Nate Chandler, 6'7" senior, is the starting quarterback for the Iowa Hawkeyes, a conference all-academic member, and he writes a lot of music. He's a pianist, actually, going to try and conduct a concerto today against the opposition. Fred Russell on the run back moments ago, over 1,200 yards rushing this season. First down and 10 for the Hawkeyes on the 27-yard line. Iowa has been very proficient on offense over the last couple of years. Their opening possessions. It's Fred Russell between the tackles. Russell. The deuce is on the loose early. Russell. And the Florida side of midfield was tackled by Corey Bailey. Saw a gaping hole up front, courtesy of this offensive line led by Robert Gallery, the winner of the Outland Trophy.
Robert Gallery, Mark, you said it, the Outland Trophy, the best offensive lineman in the country, and an unbelievable NFL matchup today. Bobby McCray, the defensive end from Florida. They called Javon Curse the freak. After watching practice the other day, Mark, we had the same kind of accolades for this guy.
Great matchup, number 78 and number 57 right there. Gallery at 321 pounds with a bit of a size advantage. Jamel Lewis now in at tailback after that 25-yard pickup by Fred Russell. Three-receiver formation. Chandler on the play action. That's something that Iowa likes to use a lot. And back to Mo Brown. He was covered by Travis Harris actually under pressure. It'll be second down and 10 to go. Here's the Florida linebackers and a very talented group led by Channing Crowder, a redshirt freshman.
Mark, he gets the headlines, but Charlie Strong's, Florida's defensive coordinator, says Reed Fleming, the heart and soul of this defense. We look at this secondary. Keep in mind, Kewan Ratliff, 9 interceptions, not in the game at corner. Ronaldo Hill gets the start. But, Mark, I think we're going to see Kewan Ratliff and Gus Scott here sooner rather than later for Florida.
Not starting the game, as Holly Rowe mentioned a few moments ago, the result of disciplinary actions. There's a look at Ratliff. 9 picks this season. Columbus, Ohio native, playing his last game in a Florida uniform. Second down and 10. Here's the zone play. Lewis made a couple of tacklers miss, then stacked up right near the line of scrimmage at midfield. Marcus Thomas and Channing Crowder making the stop on the play. Ron Zook is the second-year head coach for the Florida Gators, former assistant coach at Ohio State and Virginia Tech. Still trying to silence his numerous critics. Coming in at 8-4, Kirk Ferentz, meanwhile, has orchestrated one of the best turnarounds in college football over the last 5 years. 5 years ago, this team was 1-10 with no ideas of going to a bowl game.
And Mark, 20-5 in the last 25 games. That says it all for the direction of this Iowa football program.
Third down and 12. Out of the backfield, Cervantes. Edgar Cervantes. The senior brought down about a couple yards shy of the first down at the 40-yard line. Good tackle by Daryl Dixon, the top tackler on that Gator defense, the starting free safety. David Bradley into punt, averaging over 40 yards per kick on the season.
Obviously, Kirk Ferentz playing the field position game here early, trying to put Florida's true freshman quarterback, Chris Leak, in a situation of coming off his own end zone, Mark.
Bradley with 15 kicks inside the 20 on the season. This one going a little bit long and strong into the end zone over the head of Vernell Brown. A 40-yard punt, nothing on the return, but just a 20-yard net. You may have heard of Chris Leak, the most highly heralded freshman in the country perhaps this year, and the subject of a very intense recruiting war last year between Iowa and Florida. Actually came down to Iowa or Florida. Finally, he decided on the Gators. Take a look at the backs and the receivers. Rand Carthen is one of 3 tailbacks that ran for over 500 yards for the Gators this year.
And Mark, for the first time since 1993, no Florida wide receiver on the first team All-SEC offense.
Here's the bubble screen, and it's incomplete. Dropped by O.J. Small. That's a play that we're going to be seeing quite frequently this afternoon. The offensive line up front, a huge one. Matt Starks, none bigger than him at 6'7", 349 pounds.
Mark, we've seen some big human beings this year. This guy may be the biggest. And Howard Hodges, number 48 from Iowa. That's an interesting matchup today between he and Matt Stark.
Florida keeping the tempo relatively quick. The pass complete on the sidelines. They like to stress tempo. Kite with the catch. Here's the rest of the Iowa defensive front. 21 sacks between those two ends.
Those are 2 good defensive ends, Mark. A little bit undersized. But I think the strength of this Iowa defense are these 3 linebackers. They don't play much substitution defense. They keep the linebackers in there. Keep your eye on number 33, Bob Sanders. he will put a lick on you.
Florida looking at 3rd down and 5 on its opening series of the ball game. Leak out of the shotgun. Pass complete to Carlos Perez, the senior out of the 33-yard line. Perez from the Dominican, great story.
You mentioned, Mark, Carlos Perez from the Dominican Republic came over here in the 7th grade. I had a chance to recruit him. Neither one of his parents, Mark, speak English. That was an interesting home visit going into that home.
A lot of love in that family there, as you noted earlier. Perez learned to speak English by watching Sesame Street as a youngster. This is amazing. Finding a hole over the right side of that offensive line. Got a good block from Lance Butler. They've got Carthen, Deshaun Wynn, and Faison. That was his turn. You combine those numbers, Bob, wrap it into one tailback. It's pretty impressive.
Mark, you're right, and they all bring something a little bit different to the table. Faison reminds me of a wide receiver. We just saw him carry that football. He's a long strider, has the body type of a wide receiver.
1st down and 10.
And Mark, we look here early. What is even more remarkable about Chris Leak, the freshman quarterback? He operates in a no-huddle offense, and you see him orchestrating everything at the line of scrimmage. A remarkable story in college football this year.
True freshman, just 18 years old. Leak back to pass, completes it again to Perez. At the 43-yard line, he was working on Antoine Allen. Carlos Perez is subject to the documentary landing the Dominican Republic done by his uncle, a sportscaster back there. They do weekly updates in the DR from Boca Chica.
Amazing, Mark. And I remember his dad wanted him to be a baseball player because baseball is so prevalent in the Dominican Republic. He's turned out to be a darn good football player for Florida.
On the option at the boundary. They run the ball. Faison brought down right at the line of scrimmage by Howard Hodges. Boy, this Florida offense, Bob, they don't wait long to get up there and snap the ball sometimes.
Like all no-huddle teams, Mark, they want to control the tempo. And don't underestimate the significance of this bright sunshine now on these Iowa Hawkeyes, even though they've been down here for about a week.
2nd down and about 9.5, 10 to go. Play. That's Carthen between the tackles. Rand Carthen got about 3 yards. Jared Klaus making the stop. Carthen, the second of the troika of talented tailbacks, the son of Maurice Carthen, the 2-time Super Bowl champ that played for Bill Parcells with the New York Giants, and he is now the offensive coordinator with the Dallas Cowboys. Carthen said that he spoke with his dad frequently this week. His dad coaching him up on pass protection and catching the ball out of the backfield. 3rd down and 5 for the Gators. Take a look at that red line. That demarcates the line of scrimmage. Leak. Incomplete, intended for Kelvin Kight. And it's 4th down. So for both offenses, they're forced to punt on the respective opening series of the ball game. Although Florida did move the ball a little bit better than Iowa did. Now, Iowa has talked about trying to do some things in the kicking game on special teams. Razor Ramon Ochoa.
Mark,
back deep.
One thing looking at the tapes, Florida blessed with exceptional athletes, but they don't do a great job of covering kicks. If Iowa can block the gunners or the wide receivers on Florida's punt team, they have a chance to get some return yards.
Eric Wilbur standing on his own 45-yard line for the Gators to punt. Very healthy average of 44.8 per punt on the season. Herr Gossman is our man in the white hat today. Out of Centennial, Colorado, a teacher when he's not refereeing football games in the Mountain West Conference. It's a Mountain West crew we have today. Rich Hall is the umpire from Tucson, Arizona. 4th and 5, Ochoa watches it sail over his head and into the end zone. A 38-yard punt, nothing on the return. Timeout on the field under sunny skies. And when we come back, Bob Davie going to break down Football 101 this week. Iowa's play action. More after this. Welcome back, everyone, to balmy and sunny Tampa, Florida. Happy New Year. Hello, us at ESPN, to all of you at home. A look at our AOL rushing matchup. Fred Russell has been an integral part of Iowa's offense for the last couple of years. And Florida's front seven, Bob, all first-year starters.
Mark, two freshmen inside at defensive tackle. And really remarkable, they lost their entire front seven. That means their defensive line and linebackers from last year. So this is an entire new front. You saw in the graphic, they're 8th in the SEC and rushing defense. But keep in mind, they played against some darn good running backs this year.
You got that. First down and 10 from the 20-yard line. Iowa's second possession of the game. Fred Russell bouncing it outside. If they can run the ball, it'll set up their play action. Fred Russell, the senior, listed at 5'9", but you can see a huge height discrepancy when he's especially behind 6'7" Robert Gallery.
Mark, he's a remarkable guy. I mean, you get a chance to look at him in that huddle right there, but he's healthy this year. He took care of himself in the offseason after having some injuries last year. He has 261 carries. The next running back on this team only has 34. So we're being generous there saying 5'8".
Very durable at his size. Play fake. Chandler under heat, and Mo Brown makes the catch at the 37-yard line. Great play action, and for more on that, here's Bob Davie in Football 101.
Running teams like Iowa get their big plays off of play action passes. First, they run them on running downs out of running formations. Here with two tight ends in the game. The play action fake freezes the safeties and forces them to play run first. This leaves the corners on their own to defend the middle of the football field. Good wide receivers will win this matchup every time.
Here we go on first down and 10 for the Hawkeyes. Brown in motion. Run it. This is Lewis in the ball game for Russell. And Lewis is stopped up just over the 35 at the 37-yard line by Torian Charles.
Mark, one thing I noticed early in this football game, Iowa a zone blocking team, which means linemen work in combination with one another. Tough to get penetration against zone blocking, but Florida so far in this football game is really attacking up front. Great speed on the defensive line and explosiveness for Florida. I mean, they are getting up the field right now in Iowa.
Saw a little bit of that in the Auburn-Wisconsin matchup up front. And speaking of which, the Big Ten has to get it cranked up a little bit. Not too successful so far in the bowl season.
Don't panic just yet, Mark. During the regular season, they always say people remember November. Bowl season, they remember these January 1st bowl games. So there's a lot of ball left for the Big Ten. But right there, I think I jinxed
right.
Mo Brown.
Mo Brown had to go through his hands. You don't see that happen too often. Brown finally healthy after being injured a lot of the season. Be third down and 9.
Iowa has to get big plays in the passing game. Uncharacteristic of Mo Brown. You mentioned it, Mark, injured 5 games this year with an ankle. He has spent the entire season in that training room. And people don't understand how frustrating that can be for players like Maurice Brown.
From about 3.5 hours away down Interstate 75 in Fort Lauderdale. Got friends and family at this game. Third down and 9 for the Hawkeyes. Chandler brought down at the 31-yard line by Bobby McCray. 9.5 sacks on the season now for McCray. He can be a dominant force up front for the Gators today.
We're going to get a chance right here to look at Bobby McCray at the top. Actually a twist stunt. He comes inside, and Mark, we talked about him early. This guy is 6'6", 245, benches over 500 pounds. Matched on Robert Gallery today, the Outland Trophy winner, but that time it was a twist stunt, and Iowa didn't pick it up schematically.
Well, not an easy guy to bring down most times either. Here's Bradley with his second punt, and it's a good one. A spiral back to the 21. On the move, it's Vernell Brown again. A 48-yard punt. 7 on the return, and a timeout on the field. Chris Leak getting ready to take the reins of the offense, and they do a great job of screening. Bob will tell you more in Football 101 after this.
We're back. ESPN's exclusive presentation of the 2004 Outback Bowl, presented by Outback Steakhouse. No rules, just right. And in part by the next Ford F-150, 2004 Motor Trend Truck of the Year, and Siemens Global Network of Innovation.
Back at a sold-out Raymond James Stadium for the Outback Bowl. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe. Zeros on the scoreboard. Florida with his second possession of the ball game. Play fake by Chris Leak going up top. Has a man wide open. Tight. Touchdown, Florida. 70 yards. For Kelvin Kight, the third touchdown catch of the season, the sixth of his career. One of the 22 seniors playing his final game here today for the Gators. And Matt Leach comes in for the extra point.
Mark, do you think Football 101 should have been Florida's play-action pass?
Good point. Chris Leak, poised beyond his years. He hit Kelvin Kight right in stride, and youth being served here in Tampa today. Back after this. That 70-yard touchdown toss by freshman Chris Leak, an Outback Bowl record, breaking the record of Heath Schuler of Tennessee back in 1993. And Kelvin Kight was at the other end of it. That one kind of takes the winds out of your sails if you're Iowa. Here's Fred Russell. Russell doing a nice job on special teams since running back kicks 2 games ago. One more look at that touchdown strike.
Mark, in Football 101, we talked about play action, freezing the strong safety, and I wanted you to watch Bob Sanders right now, who bites and has to respect the play action, and then Kight will get in behind Bob Sanders, who is playing quarters coverage and responsible for the deep inside corners of the field. Right there, Bob Sanders just turns, tries to recover, but no chance. You have to be careful with safeties to the open inside or split inside, Mark, sucking up on that run fake, and the receivers getting in behind them.
Pass intended for Maurice Brown on 1st and 10, Bob. Incomplete. Now, what does it do for Iowa should they fall behind a team like Florida? Iowa, not a quick strike team in the passing game especially, Bob?
Mark, you're exactly right. Iowa, and Kirk Ferentz will be the first one to tell you this, is not an extremely explosive football team. They are a running football team that gets big chunks off play action. Uncharacteristic of an Iowa team, Mark, to see them give up a big play like that defensively. But there won't be any panic in Kirk Ferentz and this staff.
On 2nd down and 10, Brown in motion. Handed off to Fred Russell. Got a gaping hole. Russell into the secondary. Down to the 34-yard line. Finally tackled by Corey Bailey. And Fred Russell strikes back for the Hawkeye Nation. A 28-yard gain.
Trying to find a 5'7" running back like Freddie Russell is difficult, but right here, Mark, I've jogged with you. You're not the fastest guy in the world. You could have run through that hole. Excellent open field disruption by Corey Bailey, the strong safety, to slow Fred Russell down.
Look at Russell just dancing between those tackles. Brought down by Mike Fleming. Speaking of that Gator defense, remember that Gus Scott was usually the starting strong safety, and Kewan Ratliff, number 1, with 9 interceptions, did not start in this game for violations of unspecified team rules. Bailey's still out there in Scott's place at strong safety.
One of the big goals in your preparation playing, if you're a head football coach, get all your best players, Mark, to the game. With academic problems, disciplinary problems, NFL and agents talking to older players, get all your players to the field.
Here's the jailbreak screen by Iowa down to the 25, Mo Brown. And for more on that developing Florida story, here's Holly.
Hey guys, well, to their credit, the guys who were not starting today, Kewan Ratliff and Gus Scott, are over on the sideline. They're standing right behind the defensive coach who is signaling in the plays. They're trying to stay in this game mentally and see what defenses are being called, so they're not out of it. They haven't been sulking or sitting on the bench or anything. They're right up with their helmets in hand, ready to go in if their number's called.
Ratliff out of Columbus, Ohio, Holly. His dad, Charles, played at FAMU in Tallahassee. Third down and short, and they got the first down. Chandler keeps it himself, crossing the 25 to the 24-yard line. Nathan Chandler, some people might feel a little bit nondescript, but certainly not easy stepping in the large footsteps of Brad Banks, his predecessor, who was the Heisman Trophy runner-up last season and had a spectacular year, Bob.
And also, Mark, the difference, the contrast between Chandler and Brad Banks. Brad Banks, flashy, could do a lot of things with his legs, a flashy style player that people love watching. Chandler, more of a true, big, strong, drop-back type quarterback.
Mel Lewis on the handoff. Iowa dashing that Gator front. And another first down, a good block up front by the Outlet Trophy winner, Robert Gallery. And it's first and goal to go. 16 yards on that one.
We mentioned earlier, there won't be any panic in Kirk Ferentz and this offensive coaching staff. Mark, you can gain a lot of yards quickly with explosive running backs like Jermel Lewis and Freddie Russell. So great response right here to Iowa coming back from that big play they gave up defensively.
First down and goal to go for the Hawkeyes. Russell stopped on a dime. Down to the 3-yard line. Great change of direction by Freddie Russell, for most of the season a Doak Walker candidate.
Mark, he reminds me like when you have a balloon and you let the air out of it, that thing may go anywhere. Watch him right here and just dart backside and then get north and south. You see how difficult it is from that perspective for those linebackers, first of all, to find him behind those big offensive linemen.
Second down and goal. Iowa pretty proficient inside the red zone. Play fake. The throwback incomplete for the tight end, Tony Jackson. It'll be third down and goal. Good pressure up front by Darrell Dixon. Now it'll be third down and goal.
Mark, I love play action passes, but the difficult thing is to protect the quarterback. That's the second time today that we've seen Charlie Strong, Florida's defensive coordinator, have a great call, the corner blitz against the play action pass.
Here they spread the field with 4 receivers, the 9th play of the Iowa drive. Mo Brown in motion. Touchdown, Mo Brown.
One of the oldest plays in football, Mark. You bring the wide receiver across in motion, then run him to the flat. The other 2 receivers clear out. You're going to see Mo Brown come underneath right now. No question, it was a pick play. But it wasn't called, and that's a touchdown for Iowa. Great drive right there, answering the challenge from Florida.
Certainly important for them to answer. The extra point is good. Mo Brown with his 4th touchdown reception of the season, the 15th of his career. Back with more from the Outback Bowl. A couple of 7s on the scoreboard here in Tampa, Florida for the 18th Outback Bowl. Iowa was with a very impressive scoring drive, 9 plays using 3:22 on the clock. And important for them to answer the quick strike 70-yard blast by Florida. Andre Caldwell slips at the 10. Let's go downstairs to Holly Rowe.
Well, guys, we are here with the chairman of Outback Steakhouse, Paul Avery. And Paul, tell us, why is it important for Outback to be involved in this bowl game?
Oh, it's a wonderful opportunity for us to showcase our beautiful city here of Tampa, and to have an opportunity to thank all our Outbackers for all they do throughout the year to make these kind of things possible, and to thank our customers for their patronage. We certainly don't take it for granted, and we appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Outback Bowl people have done a wonderful job making us feel at home as well. First down and 10 for Chris Lee. There's the bubble screen to Carlos Perez. Gains about 7 on first down and 10. Let's go to the bubble screen on Football 101.
You have a true freshman quarterback like Chris Leak. One way to take the pressure off him is to throw a lot of screen passes. Florida's favorite is the bubble screen to the 3 wide receiver side. What makes this play so successful is that the 3rd wide receiver is actually Ben Troop, a 255-pound tight end. This is key because he is the lead blocker and creates a mismatch versus smaller defensive backs in the open field.
And back to the action out to the 22. It's Rand Carthen. Carthen, the 5'11 senior, a guy who waited a long time, waited 4 years to finally become the starter and quote-unquote the main man, and now finds himself splitting time with Deshaun Wynn and Seatric Faison.
Mark, and you have to love his unselfish attitude. You said it exactly right. I mean, this guy sat behind some great running backs, waited his turn. Now there's some young running backs that he's sharing time with, but I think when your dad's a coach, you learn some of those values of being unselfish and being patient.
First down and 10, the draw play. And it's Carthen again, and stopped up front by Chad Greenway, the leading tackler in the Big Ten, and Tyler Lupke. Greenway, an interesting story, a sophomore, as I mentioned, the top tackler in the conference. He's blocked a punt this year, does a great job on special teams from a big farm, actually, in Iowa. Actually, North Dakota, pardon me. Second down and 9.
This is a true freshman quarterback, once again orchestrating this spread, no-huddle offense.
Leak kind of hesitated before he let it go, intended for Dallas Baker, and the ball's harmlessly incomplete. Well, Capital One Bowl Week continues tomorrow on ESPN at 4:30 Eastern with the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Clemson facing Casey Clausen in number 7 Tennessee. The Volunteers finished the season tied for first in the SEC. Coverage beginning with a College Game Day Bowl special at 3:30 Eastern time. There'll be a lot of orange on the field in that game. This league 5 of 8 so far passing for 100 yards.
Mark, Ben Troop right here, number 84, the tight end, 255 pounds, flexed out for Florida.
Leak forced to run, and he can do it well. Tackled near the 30 by Abdul Hodge. That is very close to the first down marker. Depending on the spot, it seems as if he's about a yard or so short.
Chris Leak, Mark, you're right. We saw him yesterday in practice. Great lower body strength, a great looking athlete. But watch the closing speed right there by Abdul Hodge. Abdul Hodge, Mark, accelerated and forced Florida to punt this football.
Second punt of the day by Wilbur. Driving Ochoa back to the 9. Ramon Ochoa. A wonderful special teams player. Somebody lost their hat down there at the 28. A 61-yard punt by Wilbur and a nice return by Ochoa. Well, the last meeting between these two teams a while ago, 83. And Neil Anderson of the Florida Gators took it in for the score, the decisive blow, as Hayden Fry's team lost that one 14-6. Both teams combined for 6 interceptions in that game, 19 penalties, and only 7 for 31 on third down. So not an offensive display. I think we'll have a different tenor in this game this afternoon. First and 10, Jermel Lewis is the deep back. Mo Brown's in motion. Chandler audibling at the line. Senior gets him into a good play. But a better play made on the end by number 31, Johnny Lamar, the starting corner.
Mark, how about Johnny Lamar? A walk-on He had 2 scholarship offers, Eastern Illinois and Troy State. Comes to Florida. He's going to be paying back those student loans, from what I understand, for the next 20 years. But now here he is starting in a January bowl game. That's a great story right there. Started all 12 games this year for Florida.
He wanted to tell his family and his kids about that kind of stuff. Second down and 11. There's the zone play. Freddie Russell trying to get to the edge. And rocked out of bounds by Demetrius Webb. Webb has been on a lot of plays so far defensively for Florida. Third down and long to go for the Iowa Hawkeyes, who so far have run the ball pretty well, Bob. On that last drive especially, they mixed it up pretty well.
They did, Mark, and you and I had a chance to watch both of these teams practice, and you learn so much from seeing these teams practice and seeing them in person. The contrast between these two teams, though, is remarkable. Florida, an explosive, talented football team. Iowa, not as explosive, but extremely well coached and solid.
That red line is our line of scrimmage. On third down, complete to Ed Hinkle, who's been relatively conspicuous by his silence for most of the season, but making a little noise here today. Pushed out of bounds by Johnny Lamar, an 18-yard pickup.
Mark, a little earlier, Florida hurt Iowa with the twist stunt. Here, Iowa will pick the twist stunt up. Give Chandler great time to step up in the pocket and throw. And Ed Hinkle back healthy. Only his 8th catch on the season, Mark. Last year he had 22 catches. He's been hurt all year, but Iowa, for the first time all year, at full strength for this game.
And all their horses ready. First down and 10 near midfield at the 49. Play action pass, complete to a wide open Brown. Mo Betta down to the 35, and another first down for the Hawkeyes. Corey Bailey made the stop for Florida.
Mark, I mentioned earlier, if you can protect for the quarterback in play action, it's almost impossible to defend. Right here you see Chandler on the boot. Mo Brown comes back out to the flat. It takes so long for this play to develop. That's why protection's a problem. But Mo Brown again bouncing back, Mark, from that early drop he had in this football game. Iowa able to run the football, sets up the play-action pass.
And Nathan Chandler, through his numbers, forcing the spotlight on him, making people recognize after that 17-yard pickup. Hawkeyes calling the first timeout of the ball game. And for more on the way that Kirk Ferentz has prepared his team, let's go to Holly.
Well, guys, defensive coordinator Norm Parker from Iowa told us that last year they were so busy patting themselves on the back for their great season that USC was busy kicking their butt. So they revamped their focus in preparation for this game. Kirk Ferentz had each one of his assistants contact another college and ask them how they prepare for bowl games. So in July, Ferentz sat down and put together a schedule for all of the 7 bowls they could potentially play in. He had it all mapped out. They have been so focused and so intense that they even had the same field painted over at their practice facility that you see here in Buccaneer Stadium with the pro numbers on it. He wanted his kids to be prepared for every aspect of the game, including play more physical. They pride themselves on being the most physical team in the Big Ten. They wanted to show the nation that they're more than what they showed last year against USC.
And Mark, we talk about contrasts in these programs as we look at Iowa Hawkeye history. It even goes down to the bowl preparations. Kirk Ferentz kept his football team through Christmas. In other words, his team did not depart and go home for Christmas. They didn't have any time off. Ron Zook, on the other hand, he let Florida's players go home for Christmas. They had about 4 days off, so even their preparation plan is different. But what happens? We mentioned in the open, how you finish the season is so important. Iowa learned last year in the Orange Bowl, Mark, you have to finish the season up and put a period on it for it to be successful. Winning today is critical for both these teams.
And Kewan Ratliff back on the field for Florida for the first time. Did not start because of violations of unspecified team rules. He and Gus Scott. Well, Saturday at noon Eastern, Capital One Bowl Week concludes on ESPN. Georgia Tech from the ACC facing Tulsa from the WAC. Hey, what about what the WAC conference is doing? The Golden Hurricanes won only 2 games in the last 2 seasons. This will be their first bowl appearance since 1991. It's the Humanitarian Bowl. Georgia Tech versus Tulsa. And let's look at Gus Scott. He's starting strong safety. He did not start today.
And Mark, he had started 23 straight games, so you know how devastating it was for him to not start his 24th straight game.
Jermel Lewis brought down by Ray McDonald, and that might be the last play of the first period. That was Fred Russell tackled. Contrasting styles by both teams. Florida attacking aerially. A 70-yard throw and catch. That's right, in the air, just like those Jets. Not a Harrier, it's a leak. And Iowa doing it by mixing it up. We'll be right back with the second period. Welcome back. Aerial coverage for today's Outback Bowl is courtesy of the Outback Steakhouse Airship Bloomin' Onion 1. The Outback Steakhouse Airship specializing in college football and DJ golf coverage. Look for the Bloomin' Onion at sporting events throughout 2004. Bob, I thought Bloomin' Onion was what we were eating at halftime.
Well, you make so many connections during the bowl week. No telling. They may serve it up
on that beef, baby.
I know that. Mark, what a well-played game for a bowl game. No turnovers, no penalties in the first quarter. Remarkable considering how long these teams have been off since play.
And Iowa obviously a lot sharper than they were a season ago when they lost at the Orange Bowl. Chandler out of the shotgun. And he's tackled at the 30-yard line, 5 yards short of the first down by McDonald and Harris. Let's take a look at our Outback game track. Some of the cogent points so far. Kelvin Kight with a record reception from Chris Lee. 70 yards in all. That made it 7-0 for the Gators. But on the ensuing offensive drive, Maurice Brown with a touchdown catch, and we are knotted at 7 apiece. Nate Kaeding now in to attempt a field goal. This one's going to come from about 47.5 yards out. Kaeding, an outstanding place kicker, 17 of 18 on the year. And he has been perhaps the most consistent kicker in the nation over the last 2 seasons. Like I said, his signature is consistency. Nate Kaeding, the senior, knocks it through from 47, giving the Hawkeyes a 3-point lead with 14:09 to go in the first half. The guy whose stock has risen considerably for the last couple of years is his team to lead. Welcome back, everyone, to Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. Nate Kaeding giving his team a 3-point lead moments ago. Kaeding has forced touchbacks on 55% of his kickoffs this year. Back deep, it's going to be Jamel Cornelius and Andre Caldwell for the Gators. That's Cornelius. And he'll take a knee. Bob, we've been through Iowa City several times over the last couple of years, and from South Dubuque and the Ped Mall all the way down to Tampa, it's 1,319 miles.
And Mark, maybe one of the best kept secrets in college football, Iowa, but we talk about contrasts. How about the contrast between Iowa City, Iowa today and Gainesville, Florida? More importantly, Tampa, Florida. It's a bright, sunny day. I promise you, it is really bright and sunny for these guys from Iowa, because you've been to Iowa City doing those basketball games in December and January.
Holly Rowe talked about they painted the field of an eye. I'm sure it wasn't looking as good as this one here. This is Deshaun Wynn with his first carry of the ball game, and this almost like a home game, you would say, for the Florida Gators. Gainesville just 133 miles away.
And Mark, you bring up a great point, and Florida played in this game a year ago. So there's 2 ways to look at that scenario. Familiarity, staying at the same hotel, practicing at the same place, same routine. Is that good, or is it bad because players are used to it and not as excited? In the end, I guess we'll find out. Iowa here for the first time, but a focused football team.
Trying to set up the screen, Bob, is Chris Luke, and it's broken up. Intended for Deshaun Wynn. Matt Roth breaking it up. Matt Roth described a lunatic by some of his own players and teammates.
You're right, Mark. This guy plays with high energy. The fans here want pass interference. but you are allowed to tackle the receiver if the ball is thrown behind the line of scrimmage, and Matt Rupp totally within the rules that time to disrupt that screen pass.
3rd down and 10 for the Gators. Trying to respond after that Iowa field goal in their score. Leap completes it to Deshaun Wynn, who falls down 7 yards short of the first down at the 23. Brought down there by Grant Steen. And it's 3 and out for the Gator offense. Outside of that one long strike by the Florida offense, Bob, they've been a little bit spotty moving the ball.
And Mark, playing against Iowa's defense, they played against some great defenses in the SEC, but watching those tapes yesterday, SEC defenses up the field, blitzing, man-to-man coverage. Iowa is going to make you be patient, play a lot of zone coverage.
Wilbur, Bob, gets it off under heat. Ochoa fielded it off the back of one of his teammates, and Ramon Ochoa was tackled at the 47-yard line. A 7-yard return on a 36-yard punt. And coming up, we'll look at Mel Kiper's draft board. We'll see where Iowa's Robert Gallery and Ben Troop are listed. More after this. This is the best starting field position of the day for the Iowa Hawkeyes at their own 47-yard line. And we talked about Mel Kiper Jr.'s big board. Robert Gallery, number 4. Ben Troop, the tight end, number 7. Among the seniors listed.
First of all, Mark, how impressive is Mel Kiper? You talk about knowledge about NFL college potential draft picks. Mel Kiper is the best.
Robert Gallery holding it down on the left side of that offensive line for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Play action fake. Hinkle. Complete. Great execution once again down to the 35. And he was working on the All-American, Kewan Ratliff. 1st and 10, Iowa.
A little different wrinkle to the play action, Mark. This time they start the play action to the strong side, and you're going to see Nate Chandler throw back opposite the flow to Ed Hinkle on a crossing route. Difficult for even a great corner like Kewan Ratliff to cover someone with that much grass to the inside of the football field to defend.
1st down and 10. Jamel Lewis trying to cut it back and then goes north-south, plowing forward down to the 30-yard line. Harris making the stop on the play. Well, you see the surge up front on the offensive line, led by most times that guy, number 78. Gallery, awarded the nation's top interior lineman. He was the 3rd Iowa player to win the Outland Trophy, the first Hawkeye since Alex Karras did it in 1957.
And Mark, what a statement for Iowa's program to have an Outland Trophy winner. You know what? There's some young guys sitting there today out there in Iowa or Nebraska saying, you know what? Someday I'm going to go to Iowa and win the Outland Trophy like Robert Gallery and wear my hair long and wear those earrings like that, too.
His dad doesn't mind. That's what he says. Here's Jamel Lewis. Couldn't get to the edge, pushed out of bounds at the 30-yard line by Fleming. For more on Gallery, let's go to Holly.
Well, guys, I had a chance to talk to Robert Gallery's mom about his outfit for that Outland Trophy presentation. She said they had to special order weeks in advance because they just don't make suits for a man that big. I also asked her about that hairdo. She said, I love it. It's naturally curly. It's beautiful. I said, you haven't seen it then when it's sweaty, because hanging out of his helmet, it doesn't look that great. She still loves it. Guys.
Mark told me he didn't appreciate that hairstyle that much, but when Robert Gallery came in, he switched and told him, you know what, Robert, that really looks good on you. That's the first time I've seen you a little intimidated when someone walked in the room.
That's a big cat. 3rd down. They're 3 of 6 on 3rd down conversions. Chandler deceptively elusive. And a smart throw to Ramon Ochoa for the 1st down. Ochoa knew exactly where the 1st down marker was at the 23-yard line.
And Mark, Travis Harris, the athletic defensive end from Florida, decides right here to go inside underneath Cervantes, the fullback, and Chandler takes advantage of that by breaking contain. Once again, a good decision right here by Chandler to stop and throw to Ramon Ochoa for the first down.
Chandler, a pianist, writes his own classical music, making a concerto today, 8 of 13 passing, leading that Hawkeye offense. Jamel Lewis, the deep back out of the eye. Lewis stopped up at about the 23 by Channing Crowder. Crowder, an amazing story. Missed just 2 games this year after undergoing knee surgery in October. Had his knee cleaned out and really has inspired his teammates. A redshirt freshman whose dad played in the National Football League for Miami and Tampa.
Mark, I know this is a pretty strong statement, but after having watching him on tape, seeing him at practice, he reminds me of a young junior Seau.
Really?
I mean, this kid has an amazing body. Defensive freshman of the year in the SEC from Atlanta, originally committed to Georgia, ended up here at Florida.
They got a young nucleus coming back next year for Ron Zook. 2nd down and 9. Blitz and backside pressure. Chandler to Hinkle. Close to another first down at the 16-yard line. At some point, you have to recognize the subtlety and significance of Nathan Chandler.
And Mark, the real good quarterbacks have a way to feel that pressure coming from the backside. Right here, the rush is coming from his blind side, but he feels it coming, rolls away from Lee, the defensive end, and makes a completion. You know, for 6'7", this guy really is a remarkable athlete, the way he moves around.
Transfer from Texas Tech and Pasadena Community College, 3rd down and short. Lewis got the first down and then some. About the 11-yard line. Jamel Lewis, not many people thought that he would be where he is right now. Suffered a knee injury back in the spring, and they said that it would take him a full 9 months to come back, and he was back on the field playing full bore at about 7 months, Bob.
Really is remarkable, Mark, and what helps him, not many guys squat 615 pounds
You think?
and have that great leg strength.
And they rotate the backs as Fred Russell back in the ball game. 1st and 10, they can get a first down without scoring. 9:50 to go in the first half. Iowa marching once again. And Nathan Chandler calls a timeout. Iowa trying to atone for their misgivings last year in the FedEx Orange Bowl, where they were thumped by USC. Looking good so far when we come back. Well, Ponce de Leon sailed the Atlantic, discovered Florida and the Tampa area back in the 1500s, looking for the fountain of youth. And it's not about youth today. It's about Nathan Chandler, the senior signal caller for Iowa, leading his team down the field. Hawkeyes leading by a field goal with 9:46 to go in the 18th edition of the Outback Bowl. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe. Happy New Year to everybody.
And Mark, Florida, a tremendously talented football team, but Iowa won't be odd. They've played Michigan, they've played Ohio State, so they've seen some talented football players on that opposite side of the field before.
They run it between the tackles, down to the 5-yard line.
Top 8 line number 9.
Russell.
Back and number 34.
Mark, once again, looking at it like a linebacker. The zone blocking scheme, Freddie Russell cuts back. He's a strong, powerful little running back. Incidentally, he has another year of eligibility, but he's decided to come out in the NFL draft. And Mark, we'll get a chance to see him over in Hawaii at the Hula Bowl.
Freddie Russell has done a great job this year. 9th play of the drive coming up. 2nd down and 4. Play fake. Chandler, nothing but open real estate ahead of him. Touchdown. Got a nice block on the edge from Hinkle.
Again, Mark, on 2nd down, running down, they come with the naked bootleg. Florida with great recovery speed, closing speed, but that time lose contain and really That was a result of an excellent call by Kenny O'Keefe, Iowa's offensive coordinator. Iowa right now with all the momentum in this football game.
Playing Hawkeye football, the 6th rushing touchdown this season for Nate Chandler. And Holly Rowe, tell us what's coming up.
Hey, when we come back, we'll tell you about how Steve Spurrier's resignation from the Redskins may affect this Florida team.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the 2004 Outback Bowl, presented by Outback Steakhouse. No rules, just right. And in part by the Chrysler Pacifica, well beyond the SUV. And Sonic, it's not just good, it's Sonic good.
Welcome back, everyone, to Tampa Bay, Florida, on an absolutely resplendent day here for college football. Iowa leading 17-7. Since the opening 2 drives, the Hawkeyes have turned the beat around on the Gators, taking a 10-point lead. Caldwell lets it bounce at the 6. Andre Caldwell brought down to the 15, a 9-yard return. Not great starting field position for the Florida Gators. And big news, Bob, in the sports world and the football world last couple of days. Former Gator head coach Steve Spurrier resigning from the Washington Redskins as their head coach, leaving some $15 million on the table. And you think it'll have some kind of tangible effect on this Gator program? I mean, he still has a home, has a presence in Gainesville.
Well, Mark, not a tangible effect, the fact that he resigned, but it's a nuisance for Ron Zook because the media, the fans, already have started a frenzy. Fans, media, they always want what they don't have. And the fact that Steve Spurrier's not here, a lot of people talking about him coming back. But let me say this. If Ron Zook keeps recruiting the way he's recruited the last couple years, based on the talent we saw at practice, Steve Spurrier's a great coach. But he doesn't have to worry about anyone if he keeps getting as many young players as he has now.
We'll say this about Ron Zook. He is relentless and tireless when it comes to his work ethic. When he was first hired by AD Jeremy Foley, he said, "Boss, you got to get me a cell phone that works in the shower so I can call recruits 24/7. That pass almost intercepted by Sean Considine.
Well, Mark, right now, I promise you, Ron Zook is worried about these guys in the gold pants. And you see Chris Leak right here. Keep in mind, he is still a freshman. Granted, a remarkable freshman, mature beyond his years, but he's still a freshman, and he's prone to make mistakes. Big 3rd down right here. Critical for Florida not to turn the football over, make a bad situation worse, Mark. It's not the end of the world to punt the football right here if you're Florida.
Gator fans are restless at this point. 3rd down and 10. Leak forced to run and nowhere to go, falling at the 17-yard line. It's another 3 and out for the Gators.
And right there, Mark, you see Iowa's defense at its best. No blitz, no man-to-man coverage, a basic 4-man rush, heavy zone coverage, forcing you to be patient.
That is the design of their defensive coordinator, Norm Parker. 4th down and 8. That defense has come a long way since last year.
And Iowa with 4 block punts on the season.
Wilbur gets off a low-line drive, but Ochoa fields at the 38. And they're going to whistle him down, saying that his knee touched on that 44-yard punt. For more on the Zook situation vis-a-vis Spurrier, let's go down to Holly.
Well, guys, I had a chance to talk with Jeremy Foley, the athletic director of Florida, before the game. He said he spoke with Steve Spurrier yesterday. Steve said, if anybody's asking, tell them I am out of coaching for a while. Also, Jeremy Foley says, we have a football coach. We're pleased with Ron Zook, so people shouldn't read too much into Steve Spurrier's resignation.
And I think it's important, Holly brings up a good point. Steve Spurrier did not create this situation in regards to Ron Zook. All he did was resign from the Washington Redskins. Now, could he make it easier on Ron Zook and definitively say he's not going to come back and coach the University of Florida? Sure, he could. But that's not necessarily his responsibility. He didn't create this situation that Ron Zook is in.
I don't think you can underscore how well Florida did under Zook's tutelage to turn their season around at 3-3, reeling off 5 consecutive wins. First down and 10, though, right now for Iowa. And Nate Chandler has a hot hand offensively. Hands it off to Fred Russell. Russell is tackled at the 40-yard line. Iowa's last 3 drives have resulted in 17 points. After 2 early drives, which were resulting in punts. Nate Chandler making a few heads turn here this afternoon. 7 minutes to go in the first half. It's the Big Ten against the SEC. Iowa coming in at 9-3 overall. They fake the counter to Russell. And hit the tight end, Eric Jensen. Close to the first down marker near midfield at about the 48-yard line. Looks to be about 2 feet shy.
Last year, Iowa had Dallas Clark, a first-round NFL draft choice. This year, Eric Jensen, all-academic Big Ten mark, makes his 16th catch on the season. We mentioned Dallas Clark. Remarkable what a coaching job that's been done at Iowa. They lost a lot of great football players off last year's football team.
Chandler keeps it in an attempt to get the first down, and you see that red line, and Bob, you've pointed it out before. You have to win the battle of the red line, especially on 3rd down. That time they got not quite the surge that they would have wanted up front. Looks like they're going to measure for the first down.
Mark, this is your first prediction. I'm going to put you out on the limb for the first time in 2004. Don't start stuttering. Did he make it?
Took you about 12 and a half hours, huh? I would say that he got it this time. Nate Chandler, a long drink of water at 6'7", basically just falling forward. And it's a good way to begin the new year.
Tell you what, I teach you up for that. I teach you up for success right there, partner.
Speaking of success, what about Kirk Ferentz? 1-10 his first year, followed by 3-9. They turned the corner at 7-5. Last year, 11-2, and now on the cusp of another double-digit win season.
And Mark, the opportunity right now, play action pass, throw the football down the field to Mo Brown.
They come out in a 2 tight end formation, Jensen and Jackson, the tight ends. Fred Russell out to the 50-yard line. Ray McDonald making the stop. And you talk about where Ferentz started to breed that success. It really started on that offensive line.
Exactly. I mean, well documented the story of taking undersized offensive linemen, really high school tight ends, Mark, like Robert Gallery, and 3, 4, 5 years later, they're 300-pound offensive linemen. Continuity in his staff. Offensive coordinator Kenny O'Keefe, defensive coordinator Norm Parker, and their strength coach Chris Doyle has had a big impact on this program.
2nd and 9, Jermel Lewis into the boundary. Nice run down to the 43-yard line. Channing Crowder finally pushing him out of bounds. Rounds the ball at 4:30 Eastern. It's the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl featuring Tennessee and Clemson. Clemson has averaged 43 points in its last 3 wins. Coverage beginning with a College Game Day Bowl special at 3:30 Eastern time on ESPN. And back to Ferentz, Bob, especially in this area. His name always seemingly creeping up for head coaching jobs in the pro ranks, in the NFL ranks.
Mark, obviously he had spent time in the NFL under Bill Belichick at the Cleveland Browns, then went on to the Baltimore Ravens. So he's been in that league.
Looked like a loose ball and a fumble down there on 3rd and short. Bad break for the Hawkeyes offensively with 5 minutes to go here in the first half. Hawkeyes fortunate to recover it.
Mark, right there, it's obviously impossible to tell exactly what happened, but a self-inflicted mistake. Excellent job. It looks like Edgar Cervantes, the fullback, coming in there and recovering that ball for Iowa, but an unforced error by Iowa forces them to punt this football.
Ewan Ratliff suspended for the beginning of this game. Back to get the punt for Florida. Bradley. And this one's going to be down at about the 5-yard line. That's the type of work that Kirk Ferentz said they wanted to do in the special teams game and in the kicking game. A 37-yard punt. Nothing on the return, and the true freshman Chris Leak has not had one of his better days yet. And I put an asterisk beside this yet because it's still early. He's engineered a lot of second-half comebacks for the Gators this year. And the big play was this 70-yard strike to Kelvin Kight for the touchdown, which gave the Gators a 7-0 lead at that point. But since then, it's been 17 consecutive points for Iowa. Faison stopped up at the 5-yard line.
Confidence right now, Mark. You really sense the confidence of this Iowa football team, and it always helps when you're winning the field position game.
Under 4 minutes to go in the first half. And we got flags down in the field. We have an all Mountain West crew today.
First go, offense, half the distance, second down.
And Mark, one thing that I don't like about no-huddle spread offenses, I think there are still situations in football games, particularly in a situation like this where momentum's against you, you're backed up on your own goal line. It's not bad to huddle. Have all 11 of those players look each other in the eye, get everybody on the same page, and get them settled down. There's a bunch of communication going on right now here at the line of scrimmage, and it is still a freshman quarterback in the game.
2nd and 13, a freshman that works tirelessly, watching a lot of film. Chris Leak out of his own end zone. Incomplete and dangerously so, intended for Dallas Baker. It'll be 3rd down and 13.
And Mark, let's talk a little bit about Chris Leak, the #1 high school player in the country last year. Obviously chose Florida, but he called Kirk Ferentz in recruiting and wanted to visit Iowa because he had watched Iowa play Michigan, a game we did on ESPN, and was so impressed.
And Ferentz was impressed with Leak, saying that his priorities certainly were in the right place and still are. 3rd and 13. Passing out of his end zone. Leak wisely throws it away, and boy, the Hawkeyes are stunting and confronting that Gator offense. That's 3 consecutive 3-and-outs.
And again, heavy zone coverage by Iowa frustrates Chris Leak. And Mark, right now, Iowa in a great situation to either come after this punter. They've blocked 4 punts this year. Sean Considine, number 37, has blocked 2. Or go ahead and return with Ramon Ochoa.
3:28 to go in the first half. Iowa, you would think, would have good field position after this Wilbur punt, and he shanks it.
Wilbur's punt is away.
Got a nice roll out to the 42. Iowa hoping to turn around the fortunes of the Big Ten. And we have a fight at the 33-yard line. Emotions running hot on this sunny afternoon. Jermaine Roberts got into it with one of the Gator players down there. It's a 39-yard punt by Eric Wilbur. Going to go against Florida. Swinging the tax.
Personal foul. Kicking team, 15 yards. First down.
Not what Florida needed at this juncture of the ball game.
And time right now for a young Florida football team, particularly here on defense, to step up, Mark.
They faced adversity before. They were 3-3 after the loss to Mississippi. 22 seniors called an emergency players-only team meeting. Each and every one of them, about 5 leaders spoke out, including Chris Leak, one of the players present there. They aired it out, talked about chemistry and accountability, and went on a 5-game winning streak. Right now, facing more adversity. 1st down and 10. Fred Russell staying on his feet. Down to the 18-yard line, tackled by Ferrier, but close to a first down.
Freddie Russell is also hot, Mark. Right here, we look at the zone play. Freddie Russell again runs away from the corner fire. Johnny Lamar coming from the backside. Here you get a good look at zone blocking, but more important, the quickness and suddenness of little Freddie Russell.
Fred Russell remembers the disappointment of a season ago, remembers the disappointed fans after their loss at the Orange Bowl. So he was sitting on the bus and saw the throng of thousands and was inspired to play well for them. Jamel Lewis now in a tailback for Iowa. They fake the jailbreak screen. Into the end zone. Incomplete, in and out of the hands of Ed Hinkle. He had it until he hit the turf, it appeared. Ed Hinkle had it temporarily.
Obviously, Mark, an opportunity for Ed Hinkle right there to make a play in the end zone. Florida very fortunate right there that that was not a touchdown.
Iowa just dominating the time of possession, about 2-1 so far. Third down and 1.
It's all about that red line right now, Mark. And third down in less than 1.
Fred Russell putting the pedal to the metal, getting the first down, bouncing at the 10. Got a nice lead block on the ISO from Cervantes.
Mark, you talk about that red line, and I'll tell you one thing, the guys in the white shirts, they're winning that red line. Excellent block right there by Cervantes, and the little tailback is going to sneak up through there. Red line, it's on that Iowa sidelines right now.
Red line, especially in the red zone. Fred Russell will tell anybody who wants to listen that he is intent on running the ball today.
And a bunch of hands on the hips in the guys in the blue shirts, Mark. Looking around, a little bit lethargic, getting lined up. Iowa taking it to him.
Boy, they got in on the snap as soon as it got into Chandler's hand. Marcus Thomas almost intercepted the snap by. I mean, he was right there.
Marcus Thomas, a true freshman, Mark. He committed to Florida State, but ended up signing with Florida, has really come on great here at the end of the season. 9 tackles and a sack in their last game against Florida State. He's 285 pounds and really explosive.
Front 7, extremely young, but extremely talented. Second down and goal all the way back at the 15. Iowa 2 for 2 in the red zone today. Now Chandler, operating out of the shotgun, steps back and calls a timeout. We'll take him with us as we take a timeout as well. Iowa using up its full complement. Going to gather with the brain trust, and we'll be back. .12:30 Eastern time here on New Year's Day. And if you're just taking the lampshade off of your head from the party the night before and settling in, Iowa has been red hot in its last 3 offensive series, leading 17-7 right now on second and goal. Jamel Lewis in at tailback for the Hawkeyes, who have dominated the ball. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe. This is the Outback Bowl from Tampa, Florida. Big Ten against the SEC. Blitz coming by the Gators. And Chandler throws it away. It'll be third down and goal.
Mark, and one thing here as we look at this third down and 15 for Iowa. Iowa knows they are in Nate Kaeding's range right now. Maybe the best kicker in college football. Not a bad screen down right now. A year ago with Brad Banks, it would have been quarterback draw maybe.
Right.
But Iowa careful not to turn the ball over. Almost a short 3 points right here if nothing goes wrong.
At times they like the jailbreak screen. Jamal Brown here. Brown is in the slot. Chandler comes back the other way, incomplete. Try going back to Hinkle. And it'll be fourth down. Good pressure up front by the Gator front 7.
2 downs in a row. Charlie Strong comes with the safety blitz. You're going to see Bailey, the strong safety mark, coming right up the gut. Good pressure on Nathan Chandler. They tried to sight adjust and go to the out to Ed Hinkle, but once again, it's Nate Kaeding time.
Kaeding has made one already from 47 yards out. This one coming from 32. This guy is cash money. Like the ATM, and just like Reese Davis. Reese, Happy New Year. Tell us what's up at halftime.
Happy New Year to you too, Mark, and to Bob. We have Albert Smart and May with me. Coming up on the Dodge Halftime Report, we will have a look at the first national championship game, Mark.
And looking at both these teams in the Rose Bowl, there'll be a lot of points scored. They score 37 points or more by each team.
And since it's New Year's, you mentioned it, New Year's Day resolutions. We'll look forward to that. And one may involve officials and workout facilities. We'll explain.
Kinder and gentler. Nah, why bother with that? And Nebraska thought it had its man as a head coach. You're going to have to drop down the list. We'll talk about it at halftime.
We're down to the D's.
We need to give out an Iron Man award. Iron Man award goes to Reese Davis, Mark May, back in the studio. And also Trev.
Unbelievable job. I mean, around the clock all day yesterday, watching them in the hotel, and now once again today. And Bob is, hey, I want to wish you a Happy New Year, man. We've had a nice season. Yeah. What about in the second half now with time winding down? Iowa getting another field goal. Who would have thought that Iowa would have come out and dominated, frankly, the way they have?
Well, particularly Florida with the big play early in the game had all the momentum. #1 priority. If you're Florida, don't make another mistake, Mark, before halftime. Get to the locker room only down 20-7 and regroup, particularly starting with Chris Leak, the quarterback.
Chris Leak is so focused that he says he doesn't want to have a girlfriend until he has a championship ring, a national title ring. I mean, that's the type of focus that young man has. That's saying a lot for a freshman, Bob.
I had a chance to be around him as a young guy. He is the prototypical gym rat, but a gym rat with great talent. So he's the perfect package.
Seen a lot of comebacks in this bowl game, this Outback Bowl game. Ben Troop making the catch out by the 24. Actually, Dallas Baker that time making the grab. And, well, the great views today. Outstanding views are being provided by the Outback Steakhouse airship, the Bloomin' Onion. Captain Mitch Johnson is at the controls of the Bloomin' Onion high above the Outback Bowl. It wouldn't be an Outback Bowl without the Bloomin' Onion. Second down and 5 coming up. And this afternoon, as we have a timeout on the field at 4:30 Eastern time, it's a BCS showdown. Top-ranked USC, #1 in the polls, look to improve their national champs as they take on #4 Michigan in the Rose Bowl game, presented by Citi. No matter which team you think is #1, the only place to see them play is on ABC. And there's a look at the BCS standings presented by Allstate. Oklahoma, controversially at #1. LSU, #2. They're playing the Nokia Sugar Bowl. And Bob, your thoughts on if USC wins against Michigan, do you vote them #1?
Mark, I'm a former coach.
You stick with the coaches, right?
I've been mandated. Once a coach, always a coach.
So the heat's off then, right?
Well, the heat's always on, Mark. You have to vote Oklahoma if they win as the national champion. But that Rose Bowl game, Michigan and USC, what a great matchup. Two flashy teams with a lot of talent playing in the Rose Bowl. We have two great games on here late in the season.
Second down and 5. Leak. Matt Roth wraps him up and plants him into the turf. And derisively doing the Gator chop. That's his 12th sack of the season. Florida now in a hurry. That's a 31st sack defensively for Iowa.
And Mark, if you're Florida, just let this clock run out.
Right.
So you obviously don't have to punt this football. A great first half performance, by Iowa, particularly because Florida had some momentum early in this game.
3rd and 15. They're going to let it line down and gather in the locker room. Florida will down by 13 points. And Hawley is standing by with head coach Ron Zook.
Coach, you've got a true freshman quarterback in his first bowl game. How would you describe Chris's first half?
Well, he played well in the first quarter. He's not playing real well in the second quarter. We got some open guys, and he's not hitting them. But, you know, one thing about Chris that he's done a good job of throughout the year is he's been able to get control of his own emotions and come back. So he's going to need to do that here in the second half.
What can you do in the second half to stop Iowa's offense?
Well, we just, you know, we played well in the first. Right now, we're just, you know, we're getting guys in position. We're just not making the play. You know, we played well in the first quarter, and we're not doing the things that we have to do in the second quarter. So, you know, once again, when the momentum changed there, we got to get it back. We get the ball to start the second half.
Thanks very much, Coach. Mark, back to you.
It's 20-7 at halftime. The Dodge half